No kidding. It's 5 minutes funnier. Hi, I'm Jimmy England for 5 Minutes Funnier, the comedy how-to. And it has not been lost on me recently that these little vignettes are not going necessarily 5 minutes. I've been trying to keep them fairly short and concise so you can kind of get one idea into your head well enough that I don't have to keep reiterating it over and over again, because that gets a little bit boring, let's face it. I am, however, possibly going to go a little longer today because I'm in a bit of a rant mode because of a show that I did a couple of weeks ago that really stuck in my craw. Not that there was anything wrong with the show or anything like that. There was absolutely nothing. But I was on a program with, I would say, 10 to 12 comics, and I went in there totally prepared. It was some stuff I'd expanded. I'd done a few little bits that I liked, but I managed to finally flesh it out with a little bit more stuff. So I memorized all the stuff, and I went up on stage completely and utterly prepared to do my best. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I watched about 8 or 10 other comedians doing similar things. And in fairness, most of them have been doing comedy a lot less than I have. There were some good ones up there, I will say. And there was a lot of people who just hadn't taken the time to learn the material. Some of them had their phones up there they constantly referred to. Some had little pieces of paper. Some literally said, okay, what am I doing next? You know, that's so unprofessional. When you go on stage, you go on stage prepared. You do not get in front of an audience unprepared. And it really bugs me because that means those people are going to get better at a very slow rate if they get better at all. Because they keep writing stuff and they're doing stuff and they have no idea whether it's working or not, because they haven't sold the stuff. And selling the joke is part of what we do. You have to be able to phrase the joke properly. You have to be able to hit the punchline at the right moment. You have to be thinking about your timing as you're doing it. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And you can't do it if you're just reading your jokes off of a piece of paper or a cell phone. That's probably the worst, that's the worst offender of anything. Now, I don't want to make this sound like you absolutely cannot take anything up on stage with you, but what you should be taking up on stage with you are keywords. You should have certain joke sequences that are obviously one follows the other. You may not know where the next joke is. That's fine. Get another keyword. When I go on stage, I have the keywords in my head. When I do 45 minutes, I walk up on stage with, I think it's 10 or 12 keywords in my head. Each one of them tells me what I'm doing next. Here's the next sequence of jokes that I had done so often. I've got them memorized. But that way I can go through and do everything. But you have to do the same thing even if it's only 5 minutes worth of material. You want to get the best read off of your audience that you possibly can. You want to go on there and you want to be able to make the audience see the funny the way you see the funny. Putting those pauses in, hitting those punchlines just at the right moment. And what can happen, and what I did see happen with more than one person that night, is it wasn't totally embedded in their head. They memorized the joke, and as they got to the punchline, their voices started to do, instead of leaning into the punchline, they were just kind of fading off. Well, the audience is not going to laugh at that, or they're very unlikely to laugh. Oh, okay, yes, if that's part of your joke, that's part of your character, yeah, that might work. But when you're not, when you're just a regular comedian out there trying out a new joke, you want to be able to hit it and hear it properly. And that's why you've got to know what the joke is. Now, there are other things you should know. If you are using keywords and you're bringing them up with you, try not to look at them. But if you do feel the need to look, do not look as you're talking. Do not break that bond with the audience that your eyes are doing. That's really important, just as it is right at this moment. If I'm doing this all the time, and I'm looking over there and I'm talking to you, and I'm looking up there and then I'm talking to you and I'm looking over, the bond is gone. It's not the same as when we are making that eye contact, and that is so very, very important. But what you can do is if you have to reference something, reference it on the laugh. But only a quick glance. You can't look down and try and memorize the next 10-line joke or 5-line joke or whatever, however long the joke is in that laugh period. You'll end up, the laugh will stop, they're ready for the next joke, and you're still trying to look at it. So look on the laugh if you have to look. Make it keywords, don't make it the joke. But more importantly, try and know your act before you step up on that stage. I'm sorry, this is a big rant today, and I haven't even set it up with a lot of fancy shots, trying to do different shots, trying to make it more interesting. I'm just here with my headphones on in front of my microphone saying, look, people, know your act. Well, I feel better. I don't know about you. This has been 5 Minutes Funnier, the comedy how-to. I have been Jimmy England, and stay funny, everybody. It's good for all of us.